In ancient texts from various cultures, there are remarkably similar descriptions of flying chariots of gods, which raise many questions about how ancient civilizations perceived celestial phenomena and divine powers. In the Vedas, the sacred texts of Indian culture, one can find references to vimanas, flying machines controlled by gods. These devices are described as shining, with lights that blind and sounds like thunder. Specifically, in the Ramayana and Mahabharata, there are scenes where gods use their chariots to move through the air, leaving behind trails of bright light and wind. Similarly, in the Bible's book of Ezekiel, there is a description of a chariot that moves with the help of radiant beings, producing sounds like the wings of enormous birds. Sumerian texts are no exception. In the legends about the god Enuma Elish, it is said that chariots can float in the sky, accompanied by storms and lightning. These descriptions have drawn the attention of researchers such as Eric von Däniken, who proposed that such evidence might indicate contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. He claimed that descriptions of flying objects and divine chariots are actually evidence of technologies that were not available to ancient civilizations. However, there is an opposing viewpoint, which suggests that such descriptions should be interpreted as metaphorical representations of natural phenomena or mythological constructs created to explain mysterious occurrences in the world around them. These debates about the meaning of these texts highlight how complex it is to interpret ancient sources. Meanwhile, sensory details such as radiance, thunder, and wind create vivid images in the imagination, making us ponder how ancient people perceived the world around them. As a result, these myths and legends become not only the foundation of religious beliefs, but also a reflection of human nature, striving to explain the unknown. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, one can see references to divine beings descending from the heavens on shining chariots, which also emphasizes the deeply rooted idea of divine intervention in different cultures. These descriptions not only highlight the culture of a people, but also serve as a basis for further research into how ancient civilizations interacted with their environment and how their beliefs about the divine could have been shaped by real observations. It is important to note that despite various interpretations, all these texts provide a window into the world of ancient beliefs and perceptions of the cosmos. In these sources, we find not only information about technologies, but also cultural and social realities that defined the lives of people at that time. Remarkably, on a map created by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, the outlines of the Antarctic coastlines are visible, which have been hidden under an ice cover for thousands of years. This map, one of the most famous ancient maps, is not only a work of art, but also a mysterious testimony to the deep knowledge of ancient navigators about the Earth's surface. Piri Reis claimed to have used ancient sources, including the works of the Greek geographer Claudius Ptolemy, as well as maps created by earlier researchers. His map shows not only already known areas, such as the coastlines of Europe and Africa, but also details indicating the presence of ice-covered land, which challenges traditional notions that Antarctica was only discovered in the 20th century. Modern research, such as the work of a team of scientists led by Dr. Hannu-Pekka from Finland, has shown that some maps, similar to Piri Reis's map, can indeed indicate the precise location of subglacial relief forms that were known long before their official discovery. These studies include the use of georadars and other technologies that allow researchers to explore ice covers and underwater structures, confirming that ancient cartographers could have possessed information that was not available to contemporary scientists of that era. It is interesting to note that Piri Reis's map is not the only one that raises questions. For example, the map of Mercator, created in 1520, also contains details that do not match the known geographical data of that time. Ancient maps depicting the outlines of unknown lands and atypical geographical objects have sparked a heated debate among historians and cartographers, as they make us question how ancient civilizations could exchange knowledge about the world they inhabited. The exact coordinates indicated on these maps sometimes match modern geographical data, leading to speculation that ancient navigators could have had access to information sources that are now considered lost. Each detail on these maps, from the outlines of coastlines to the designations of rivers and mountains, can tell a story, raising questions about who created these maps and how they were passed down to new generations. Considering that Piri Reis's map was based on numerous sources, including works that may have been destroyed or lost in subsequent centuries, the question remains open as to what other secrets these ancient images may conceal. Technological advancements of our time only fuel the interest in such maps, and each new discovery brings us closer to understanding how far human knowledge about the Earth had advanced in ancient times. For example, in 2010, as a result of analyzing data obtained from satellite technologies, scientists were able to confirm the existence of underwater ridges that had previously been noted on maps created during the Renaissance. This discovery confirms that ancient cartographers could have had access to information about the relief that was then unknown and incomprehensible. Ancient Egyptians possessed remarkable stoneworking technologies that continue to baffle and amaze modern researchers. Granite, diorite, and basalt, with high hardness ranking 7th and above on the Mohs scale, were used in construction and sculpture. For instance, granite blocks quarried at Aswan had perfect smoothness and luster, like mirrors reflecting sunlight. These surfaces maintained their smoothness over millennia, testifying to the high skill of ancient stonecutters. One of the most discussed mysteries is the precise right angles and cylindrical drillings with minimal deviations. For example, in the temple of Hatshepsut at Deir el-Bahri, one can see columns with perfect proportions that are astonishing in their symmetry. Various theories exist regarding the methods of stoneworking. Some researchers suggest that Egyptians used abrasive sand mixed with water for polishing hard surfaces. Others propose the use of copper saws, which, despite being softer than stone, could effectively cut softer rocks. More exotic theories discuss the possibility of using sound technologies or even ultrasonic waves for cutting and polishing. The sounds produced by tapping on stone blocks can vary depending on the density and structure of the material, and researchers have found that some blocks produce singing sounds, which also hints at possible sound-based methods of processing. Masters working with materials like diorite, which has a hardness of 7 to 8, created works of art with incredible precision and detail, such as pharaoh statues. For example, the statue of Ramses II, carved from diorite, is impressive not only for its size, but also for its quality of finish. Internal details and carvings reveal the mastery that could not be achieved without complex technologies. Throughout the history of Egyptian craftsmanship, stoneworking remained a closely guarded art, passed down from generation to generation. However, none of the methods have been definitively proven, and many secrets have been lost. One thing is certain: the shine and smoothness of these ancient artworks testify to the high level of technology used by Egyptians to create their magnificent structures. There are numerous artifacts, such as obelisks and columns, that were carved with such precision that their installation required not only significant effort, but also a deep understanding of physics and engineering. The height of the tallest obelisk in Luxor is approximately 32 meters and weighs more than 300 tons. Its precise alignment and placement on the pedestal inspire awe. The technologies of stoneworking in ancient Egypt remain a subject of numerous studies and debates, and each new artifact opens new horizons for understanding this ancient craft. In the heart of Mexico lies Teotihuacan, an ancient city that continues to amaze researchers with its scale and mysteries. The pyramids of the sun and the moon, towering above the earth like guardians of secrets, draw the attention of thousands of tourists and scholars. The Pyramid of the Sun, built around 2,000 years ago, reaches a height of 63 meters, making it one of the largest pyramids in the world. The pyramid's structure, consisting of millions of stones, was constructed with precision that astounds modern people. The smaller Pyramid of the Moon, though less impressive in size, is no less awe-inspiring. It is surrounded by rows of stones forming triangular platforms, emphasizing its significance in the ritual practices of the ancient inhabitants. The Avenue of the Dead, stretching over 2 kilometers, connects these magnificent structures, creating a sense of space and grandeur. The footsteps of those who walk along this avenue echo through the ages, as if the walls hold the sounds of millennia. The wind, freely wandering between the pyramids, whispers of forgotten stories, while the play of light on the steps of the monumental structures makes one ponder what secrets these stones hold. The city's geometric layout is impressive in its symmetry and planning. streets intersect at right angles, and the main axis of the city is precisely aligned with the sunrise, indicating the astronomical knowledge of its creators. Despite this, the authors of this grand project remain unknown. Debates continue about who built Teotihuacan. It was not the Aztecs, as often thought, but some civilization that existed long before them. The reasons for the city's abandonment in the 6th century AD remain a mystery. Some researchers suggest environmental catastrophes, while others propose internal conflicts. Nevertheless, even in its abandonment, Teotihuacan has not lost its appeal, and its grandeur continues to captivate. The place where life once thrived is now a subject of study for archaeologists seeking to unravel its mysteries. Located 250 kilometers from Mexico City, this city still preserves traces of its inhabitants, leaving us with questions that are difficult to answer. Incredibly but true, ancient peoples possessed astronomical knowledge that continues to amaze modern scientists. For instance, the Maya, who lived in Central America, were able to calculate the length of the solar year with an accuracy of up to 20 minutes. This achievement was made possible by their observations of the starry sky, which in moonless nights sparkled with billions of stars, creating a breathtaking spectacle. They developed complex calendars known as the Tzolk'in and Hab, which allowed them not only to track time, but also to predict important agricultural events, such as planting and harvesting. The Babylonians, on the other hand, used their astronomical knowledge to predict lunar eclipses, which required a deep understanding of lunar cycles. They created tables that recorded the movement of celestial bodies, enabling them to calculate eclipses with an accuracy of up to 1 day. The builders of Newgrange in Ireland erected a monumental structure that served as an observatory. On the day of the winter solstice, sunlight illuminated the inner chamber, creating a unique spectacle that symbolized the connection between the earthly and the heavenly. This moment was filled with sacred significance, linking people with their gods. On the island of Crete, archaeologists discovered the Antikythera mechanism, a device created around the 1st century BC, which was used to calculate the movement of celestial bodies and predict eclipses. This device, consisting of numerous gears and wheels, not only showed the positions of the sun and moon, but also the planets. Such devices and observatories testify to the high level of scientific thinking in ancient civilizations and their ability for systematic observation. In the silence of temple observatories, where time seemed to stand still, and the light of the stars was the sole source of inspiration, ancient astronomers sought answers to their questions about the world and life. The night sky, strewn with stars, was not just a sight, but a reflection of their hopes and fears. Astronomy became a part of their culture and beliefs. In the ancient Egyptian temple of Hathor in Dendera, there are unusual bas-reliefs depicting elongated objects that remarkably resemble modern electric lamps. These images attract attention because they contain elements that resemble wires and are connected to symbols that can be interpreted as power sources. These strange lamps have given rise to numerous contradictory interpretations. Some researchers claim they are evidence of the existence of electricity in ancient Egypt, while others believe they are symbolic representations of the lotus flower, which symbolizes the rising sun and life force. The temple in Dendera, built during the Ptolemaic period, was primarily dedicated to the goddess Hathor, who was associated with joy and motherhood, and its walls are filled with numerous symbols that could vividly convey ancient knowledge. Intriguing details of other finds in this temple also emphasize the high level of knowledge that the ancient Egyptians had about chemical and electrical processes. Gilded artifacts, preserved colors that are surprisingly vibrant even after thousands of years, create an atmosphere of mystery. These colorful frescoes and reliefs, illuminated by soft light, give the feeling that you have touched an ancient secret, about which one can only speculate. Additionally, fragments of texts were found in the temple, mentioning various technologies, possibly related to the production of light and energy. Scholars such as Daedalus Bakker from the University of Groningen have studied these bas-reliefs and presented hypotheses that they may indicate that the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of certain principles of electricity. While some doubt the plausibility of this theory, others point to similarities with modern technologies, such as the use of copper conductors. In particular, ancient texts mention the use of copper by the Egyptians to to create various tools and possibly even to transmit electricity. Furthermore, in other parts of Egypt, artifacts have been found that also suggest the existence of ancient knowledge about chemical reactions, such as the use of various resins to create paints and protective coatings. These discoveries highlight that the Egyptian civilization was far from primitive, but possessed quite complex knowledge and technologies that remain a mystery to modern researchers. In the Temple of Hathor, all these details create an unparalleled atmosphere, in which it is difficult to shake off the feeling that the ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge that was lost or forgotten. In particular, the temple itself was built with consideration for astronomical phenomena, which allows us to assume that the Egyptians could observe the stars and use this knowledge for agriculture and navigation. On the territory of the temple, fragments of ritual objects were also found, which indicate that rituals were conducted here, possibly related to life and death, which is also connected to their understanding of light as a symbol of life. In this context, the images of lamps in Dendera become not just a mystery, but an important element that can help us understand how ancient civilizations perceived the world around them and what technologies they could use. The Great Sphinx of Giza, this monumental guardian of antiquity, majestically stands on a plateau in Egypt, its dimensions astounding the imagination. It measures 73 meters in length and reaches 20 meters in height. The Sphinx was carved from a single block of limestone, making it not only a symbol of power and might, but also an object of study for archaeologists and historians. The estimated time of its creation dates back to the era of the pharaohs, approximately 2,500 years before our era, during the reign of Khafre, whose name is associated with the nearby pyramid. This statue embodied multiple functions, from guarding the necropolis to representing the solar deity, and could also serve as an astronomical marker, indicating important moments in the astronomical calendar. One of the most intriguing theories is the dream of Tutmosis, according to which Pharaoh Tutmosis IV, upon discovering the Sphinx, found it in the sands of the desert and heard a prophecy about his future power. Under the paws of the Sphinx may lie secret chambers, hinting at unsolved mysteries that await discovery. The weathered stone, worn by time, exudes ancientness, while the interplay of light and shadow on its face creates the illusion of a living being, as if it has been observing the world for centuries. Morning sunlight touches its face, giving it a golden hue, while evening shadows emphasize its enigmatic expression. Archaeological research has revealed that beneath the Sphinx there may be underground passages that still await exploration. These discoveries raise many questions about the secrets these ancient constructions hold and the role they played in the lives of the Egyptians. The Sphinx stands as an eternal guardian of mysteries that may forever remain unsolved. Few people consider that the ancient Romans left behind not only military conquests, but also outstanding engineering achievements that continue to amaze. They developed a unique concrete, which included volcanic ash, allowing it to harden even underwater. This material became the basis for many monumental structures, such as the Pantheon, which was completed in the 82nd year of our era. The dome of the Pantheon, with a diameter of 43 meters, remains the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. Roman engineers also created aqueducts that could transport fresh water over long distances. The longest of these, the aqueduct of Septimius Severus, was over 100 kilometers long and used an arch system to cross hills and valleys. Passing under the arches, one could hear the sound of water flowing through the channel, creating a sense of calm and comfort in the bustling city. Additionally, Roman baths, such as the baths of Caracalla, were not only impressive in scale, but also featured a well-designed heating system. Under the floors were pipes with hot water, providing a pleasant coolness inside the buildings even on the hottest days. These baths could accommodate up to 3,000 visitors at a time, reflecting the high level of public life and culture among the Romans. Roman roads, such as the Via Appia, were built using a multi-layered technology to ensure their longevity. In some places, their surface has remained intact for 2,000 years, allowing modern travelers to walk the same paths once trodden by Roman legions. The smoothness of the stone polished by centuries under one's fingers evokes a sense of connection to those who came before, bridging the gap between the past and the present. Roman engineering achievements not only simplified the lives of their contemporaries, but also left a legacy that continues to inspire and awe. Imagine ancient cities where water flowed through canals, and residents enjoyed cleanliness and comfort that modern people can only dream of. The Roman aqueducts built in the 1st century BC became true engineering marvels, capable of transporting water over distances of up to 100 kilometers. These structures used gravity to move water, and their design included arches and vaults that not only ensured stability, but also created impressive landscapes. For example, the Pont du Gard aqueduct in France, standing at 48 meters tall, still amazes with its architecture and robustness. In Mohenjo-Daro, one of the largest cities of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, a sewage system has been functioning for over 4,000 years. The streets were paved with bricks, and beneath them ran drainage channels that effectively removed wastewater. Each house had toilets with running water, a novelty for that time. The Minoans on Crete were not behind in water supply development. They used terracotta pipes to deliver water to their palaces, and in some places, toilets with flushing systems were found, operating on water pressure. In Roman baths, which became centers of social interaction, the sound of flowing water created an atmosphere of tranquility and coziness. The echo in the vaulted rooms of the baths enhanced the sense of grandeur of these structures. The running water filling the pools contrasted with the dusty streets of the city, where dirt and desolation coexisted with the cleanliness and freshness of the baths. Ancient engineers accomplished tremendous work in creating such systems, which, as we see, had a huge impact on the further development of urban planning and public health. Thanks to these achievements, ancient societies were able to maintain a high standard of living, which in turn contributed to the development of culture and science. 80% of the population of Rome had access to water supply, making it one of the earliest examples of mass water supply in human history. The legend claims that in ancient Babylon there existed the hanging gardens of Semiramis, which were so magnificent that their descriptions often sound like fairy tales. These gardens were likely a complex system of terraces supported by massive columns rising above the ground, giving the impression that the green world was floating in the air. Archaeologists suggest that their height could have reached 20 meters, and the construction ensured stability and the ability to create a multi-level landscape with diverse plants. No less important in this structure was the advanced irrigation system, which was likely designed to lift water from the Euphrates River. Researchers believe that for this purpose, special mechanisms such as water wheels were used, which allowed water to be raised to the height needed for watering the upper terraces. Despite the worldwide fame of the Hanging Gardens as one of the 7 wonders of the world, archaeological excavations have not yet provided clear evidence of their existence. This has led to many debates about whether these gardens were real or merely part of mythology. Visually and sensorially, these gardens could have immersed one in an atmosphere of peace and freshness. The aroma of exotic plants like myrtle and palms would have combined with the gentle sound of water flowing through channels, creating a harmonious natural sound. The coolness emanating from the greenery would have counteracted the hot climate of Mesopotamia, while the bright shades of green against the surrounding desert would have created a contrast that was impossible to miss. The descriptions that have reached us give an idea of what this garden, filled with flowers and plants, might have looked like, but the lack of artifacts and specific evidence leaves room for imagination and contemplation. Currently, there are many theories, and some researchers even propose that the Hanging Gardens might not have been in Babylon, but in another place, such as Assyria. There are even mentions that the gardens could have been created by order of King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BC, but the specific details of their construction and location remain a mystery. Ancient civilizations located on different continents created remarkably similar architectural structures and symbols, raising numerous questions about possible connections between them. For instance, in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and China, pyramids were built, each with its unique features, yet sharing common characteristics. Egyptian pyramids, such as the Great Pyramid of Giza, built around 2,500 years before our era, had strict geometric forms and utilized advanced technologies like hoisting devices and inclined ramps to move heavy stone blocks. Meanwhile, in Mesoamerica, The Maya built their pyramids, like the Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, with precise astronomical orientations, while in China, during the Qin dynasty, pyramids were constructed, which remain a mystery to archaeologists. These structures served not only as tombs, but also as astronomical observatories, demonstrating the depth of knowledge these peoples had in astronomy and mathematics. Parallels in flood myths also generate interest. Legends of a global flood can be found among the Sumerians, Greeks, Native Americans, and many other peoples, raising questions about the existence of a common archetype or real catastrophes that could have affected multiple cultures. Theories explaining these similarities range from diffusionism, which posits that ideas and technologies were transmitted between cultures through trade and migration, to the hypothesis of an ancient mother civilization that could have been the source of knowledge for subsequent cultures. For example, some researchers suggest that the ancient city of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, dating back around 800 years before our era, could have been a center from which important knowledge about construction and astronomy was disseminated. Similar solar symbols, such as circles and spirals, appear in cave paintings, architecture, and artifacts from Europe to Australia, indicating that ancient people shared common concepts of the cosmos and time. In Mesoamerica, for example, solar symbols were depicted on temple walls, as in Tenochtitlan, while in Egypt the solar disk Ra was a central element in religious rituals. These symbols were not merely decorative, they were linked to calendrical cycles and agricultural practices, underscoring the importance of astronomical knowledge for survival in ancient times. Significant technological achievements, such as the use of concrete in Roman architecture, also have parallels in other cultures that independently developed their own building methods. For instance, in ancient China, special types of clay and straw were used to create strong and durable buildings that could withstand earthquakes. These global connections between civilizations create an intriguing atmosphere of mystery and intrigue, leaving many questions unanswered. Do the evidence of contact between these cultures exist, or did they independently arrive at similar solutions? Each new archaeological artifact found in different parts of the world adds a new note to this symphony of ancient knowledge and skills. For example, recently in Mexico, stone tools were found that resemble those found in Africa, further emphasizing the intriguing possibility of connected stories. The height of the pyramids in Giza reaches 146 meters, making them some of the tallest structures of their time, while Chinese pyramids, as believed, were built using similar technologies, but their heights varied from 40 to 100 meters. Imagine for a moment the crystal skulls, which according to some sources were found in Central America and remain the subject of endless debates and mysteries. These skulls, carved from a single piece of colorless quartz, are remarkable for their flawless polishing and anatomical precision. One of the most famous specimens was discovered at the beginning of the 20th century and attracted the attention not only of archaeologists, but also of mystics. Their surfaces reflect light so that it seems as if there is a play of light inside the crystals, making the skulls appear alive. The gaze of the empty eye sockets directed at the observer creates the sensation that they see more than just the surrounding world. These artifacts, as some researchers claim, may possess mystical properties related to ancient rituals or ceremonies that could have been performed by priests. However, not everyone agrees with this viewpoint. Many consider them to be skillfully crafted forgeries created in the 19th century to attract tourists and collectors. Among the skeptics, the name of the renowned archaeologist and expert on Mesoamerica, Dr. Frank Davis, stands out. He asserts that the technologies used to create these skulls were not available to ancient civilizations. The high degree of crystal processing and complex polishing methods suggest a later origin. For example, some skulls have smooth, perfectly even lines that could not have been achieved with primitive tools. Meanwhile, proponents of the theory of their ancient origin point out that such skulls could have been used in ritualistic purposes and held ancient knowledge. 8 skulls, which are the focus of researchers' attention, have been exhibited at auctions and museums, sparking heated debates among archaeologists and historians. In this context, it is interesting that one of the skulls was sold for more than $100,000 in 2008, further fueling the interest of collectors and adventurers. The coldness of the crystal felt upon touch and the play of light inside make these artifacts extraordinarily captivating. Even after decades, they continue to evoke admiration and fear, making people ponder what they might be hiding. It is interesting that in most scientific circles, these skulls are considered evidence that can shed light on the mysteries of ancient civilizations. But their authenticity remains a subject of debate, and the skulls themselves remain a mystery that may never be solved. Approximately 40,000 years ago in Europe, the Cro-Magnons suddenly appeared, the ancestors of modern humans, and with them emerged art that is astonishing in its complexity and expressiveness. During this period, in caves such as Lascaux and Altamira in France and Spain, archaeologists discovered realistic cave paintings depicting animals, bison, mammoths, and deer. These images were created by the Cro-Magnons, who used their artistic skills to express their connection to the world around them. They not only painted pictures, but also created sculptures, such as the famous Venus of Willendorf, carved from limestone and depicting a female figure. The manufacture of musical instruments like bone flutes also attests to the cultural advancement of this society. Notably, the Cro-Magnons used needles with eyes for sewing clothing, allowing them to create warm garments from animal hides, as well as harpoons and atlatls, complex devices for throwing spears, significantly enhancing their hunting capabilities. The origin of these skills remains a mystery. Their predecessors, the Neanderthals, did not possess such achievements, and it seems as if they simply appeared out of nowhere. The flickering light of primitive lamps illuminating the dark caves creates an atmosphere of mystery and enchantment, and one can only imagine how the ancient artists, immersed in their creative process, felt connected to their ancestors through the centuries. The red and black pigments used to create these masterpieces have endured on the damp walls, and their reflections continue to tell the story of how people began to express their thoughts and feelings through art, marking an important milestone in human development. These cave paintings and artifacts serve as a reminder of how the Cro-Magnons were the first to convey their experiences and observations through creativity, thereby creating a cultural heritage that continues to inspire and amaze us today. Imagine a world where the brilliance of civilization is replaced by an instant darkness. The Minoan civilization, one of the most advanced cultures of its time, disappears due to catastrophic events. On Crete, the Minoans built palaces, such as the famous Knossos, with magnificent architecture, complex water supply and sewage systems that allowed them to enjoy comforts unavailable to many other peoples. Their art amazed with vivid frescoes depicting scenes of life, religious rituals, and the coastal areas where they actively traded with Egypt, the Near East, and even other parts of Europe. However, around 1600 years before our era, Crete and its inhabitants faced a terrible catastrophe when a volcanic eruption on the island of Santorini, known as Thera, caused a devastating tsunami. This tsunami struck the shores of Crete, destroying ports and fleets that were the foundation of the Minoan economy. The thunderous roar of the eruption drowned out the voices of people, and clouds of ash blocked out the sun, plunging the island into an atmosphere of panic and chaos. Nevertheless, not all scholars agree that this natural disaster was the cause of the Minoan decline. Some researchers propose the theory of a Mycenaean invasion, which could have taken advantage of the weakened Minoan power to seize control of the island. Others point to internal social conflicts and economic problems that could have undermined the society's cohesion, making it vulnerable to external threats. Thus, in once prosperous cities like Fes and Malea, chaos began as residents, terrified by the approaching catastrophe and growing conflicts, sought refuge. As a result, the Minoan civilization, symbolizing prosperity and cultural wealth, found itself on the brink of extinction. Archaeological excavations show that many palaces were abandoned in haste, indicating that the inhabitants did not have time to take their riches and achievements with them. Studies show that around 200 years after the catastrophe, the Minoan culture practically disappeared, giving way to a new order where Mycenaeans, coming from the mainland, established their rules on these fertile lands. At an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level in Bolivia, there is a mystery that has baffled historians and archaeologists for many years. Puma Punku. This site draws attention due to its colossal stone blocks, some of which weigh up to 800 tons. These massive structures are made of andesite and granite, materials possessing incredible strength and hardness. The processing of such stones requires not only skill, but also tools that, according to modern research, are still difficult to use today. The blocks have perfectly smooth surfaces and precise right angles, which astonish and puzzle specialists. How did ancient builders achieve such precision? Additionally, many of these blocks feature intricate carvings and indentations that indicate a high level of craftsmanship unattainable even by modern stonemasons. It is also intriguing that between the blocks, metal clamps are found, which served as connecting elements but leave no written records of the construction. At Pumapunku, a unique atmosphere prevails. The thin mountain air, a gentle breeze, and the feeling of silence, broken only by the sounds of nature, create a contrast with the grandeur of the ancient structures. Surrounding landscapes look rough and wild, while the stone blocks themselves are awe-inspiring in their precision and craftsmanship. This contrast sharpens the perception of the place, making one wonder how ancient civilizations could achieve such results without written records and modern technologies. Pumapunku is an important object of study as it challenges existing notions about the capabilities of ancient people and their architectural achievements. Each time researchers return here, they encounter new questions that demand answers, and Pumapunku continues to remain one of the most mysterious pages in human history. 8 constructions, including Tiwanaku and Kalasasaya, demonstrate not only precision but also knowledge of geometry and architecture that were possessed by ancient builders. Scientific research shows that even modern methods do not always ensure the same level of accuracy, leaving many questions about how these magnificent structures were built. Imagine a culture that seemed to emerge from the mist of time, suddenly appearing in the valley between 2 majestic rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. Around 4,000 years before our era, on the territory of modern-day Iraq, the Sumerian civilization arose, boasting a complex social structure, developed city-states, and a unique writing system, cuneiform. The Sumerians, as they called themselves, the black-headed ones, were not only known for their architectural achievements, such as ziggurats and temples, but also for their advanced irrigation systems that allowed them to efficiently use the river's waters for agriculture. Their cities, like Uruk, and Lagash, were not just administrative centers, but also hubs of knowledge and culture. It is intriguing that the Sumerians believed in the divine origin of their civilization, claiming that their knowledge and achievements were bestowed upon them by beings known as the Anunnaki. These gods, according to their beliefs, descended from the heavens and brought wisdom to humanity. Astronomy held a special place in Sumerian culture. They observed the heavens and recorded the movements of planets, including those invisible to the naked eye, such as Neptune and Uranus. Sumerian astronomers created intricate calendars and timekeeping systems based on lunar and solar cycles. This interest in celestial bodies was not only practical but also philosophical, as they sought connections between celestial phenomena and human destiny. In the quiet of ancient marshes, where reeds rustled and distant city sounds mingled with the splash of water, scribes carefully pressed signs onto clay tablets, recording knowledge about the world and life that has since vanished, but left us a legacy that has influenced all subsequent human history. The Sumerians developed not only complex mathematical systems based on the number 6, but also the first legal codes, such as the Code of Ur-Nammu, which served as the foundation for future legal systems. In this context, the Sumerian civilization appears not just as one of the ancient cultures, but as the founder of many aspects that we consider fundamental to modern society. 8 centuries ago, in the 3rd century before our era, on the territory of modern Iraq, an extraordinary artifact was created, which historians and archaeologists call the Baghdad Battery. This clay vessel, approximately 20 centimeters tall, contains a copper cylinder and an iron rod. The discovery of this device, found in the vicinity of Baghdad in the 1830s, became a sensation in the world of science. Research conducted in 2003 by the renowned archaeologist and historian Dr. Alan D. Curtis showed that when the vessel is filled with an electrolyte, such as a solution of acetic acid or lemon juice, it can generate a small voltage, around 2 volts. This discovery led to various theories about the possible use of the Baghdad battery. Some researchers suggested that it could have been used for galvanization, which allowed for the creation of decorative coatings on iron and copper items, or possibly for medical purposes, such as treating diseases with electric current. Other theories even suggest that the device could have been used in religious rituals, lending it an aura of mystery and intrigue, as one can imagine ancient priests using the slight tingling sensation from the device to create an illusion of divine intervention. The description of the battery itself evokes a sense of awe, the dull metal, rounded edges, and the weight of the ancient artifact in one's hands, which feels like a burden of millennia. This artifact, which has survived centuries, makes one ponder what it must have been like to touch it and experience the light electrical impulses, feeling a strange connection to something greater than mere technology. 80 years after the first discovery of the Baghdad battery, in 2003, researchers conducted experiments that confirmed that even in ancient times, people could master the basics of electricity. As a result of these experiments, conducted at the University of Baghdad, it was established that this artifact could generate enough energy to cause slight sensations on the skin, leading to new discussions about the capabilities of ancient civilizations in the fields of science and technology. The Baghdad battery, with its well-thought-out design and potential functions, remains one of the most intriguing objects, demonstrating that even in antiquity, there were experiments with electricity and scientific discoveries. This artifact raises questions about how far ancient people had advanced in understanding physical phenomena and the possibilities of utilizing natural resources. At the foot of a hill in the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, stands a colossal geoglyph known as the Giant of Atacama. This anthropomorphic drawing reaches a height of approximately 119 meters and was created likely between 1930 and 1935 BC. The image is made of dark lines carved into a light sandy background, creating a sharp contrast that is noticeable even from a distance. The technique of creating the geoglyph involves removing the upper layer of stones and sand to expose the lighter soil beneath, creating an effect that is visible even from the air, suggesting that its creators may have wanted their work to be seen by gods or travelers passing by. There are several theories about the purpose of the Giant of Atacama. One of the most popular hypotheses is that it served as an astronomical marker, helping ancient people determine important events in their calendar, such as harvest seasons. Other researchers propose that the image could have been connected to a fertility deity, calling for rain and good luck in agriculture, which is particularly relevant in the harsh climate of the Atacama Desert, where every drop of water is precious. There are also suggestions that the geoglyph indicated the location of water sources, which is crucial for survival in such arid regions. The drawing is surrounded by the scorching air of the desert, creating the effect of a mirage, and in this context, the Giant of Atacama appears as an ancient message left for observers from above. Every day, the sun bathes it in light, highlighting the clarity of the lines and the scale of the figure, which could have served both practical and spiritual purposes. The blend of history and mythology in this geoglyph attracts the attention of scientists, researchers, and travelers who strive to unravel its mysteries. The Giant of Atacama remains one of the most enigmatic monuments of antiquity, revealing the cultural and astronomical knowledge of people who lived here thousands of years ago. In the valley of the Indus River, there once existed one of the greatest ancient civilizations, known as the Harappan civilization, which left behind an impressive legacy. Cities such as Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa were built with an astonishing level of urban planning. Streets intersected at right angles, forming a clear grid. This system allowed for efficient organization of movement and made the cities more secure. The developed sewage systems were true engineering marvels. Underground clay pipes ensured the drainage of wastewater, demonstrating a high level of sanitation for the time. Standardized measures and weights used in trade indicate that these cities had complex economic connections and trade routes extending to Mesopotamia. However, this vivid picture began to fade with the disappearance of the civilization in the 3rd millennium BCE. Several theories explain the decline of Harappa. One of the main hypotheses is the change in the course of the rivers, which could have led to a shortage of water for agriculture, on which the inhabitants depended. Climate changes may also have played a role, as archaeological research shows that there were severe droughts at that time. Invasions by Aryan tribes coming from the north could have been the catalyst for the final destruction of this civilization. Epidemics may also have contributed to the decline. Findings of bones with signs of disease indicate that the population may have faced serious epidemics. Mohenjo-Daro, once the center of life, now appears as an abandoned city, where only the wind whispers about its former glory. The citadel, towering over the rest of the city, served not only as an administrative and religious center, but also as a symbol of power. Inside it was the Great Bath, a massive structure with a water supply system, intended for ritual ablutions. This place was the heart of the city, where residents gathered for communication and news exchange. Imagine the bustle of crowded streets filled with the sounds of trade, the cries of vendors, the scents of spices and fresh produce, the aroma of bread from ovens. Over time, however, these streets emptied, and the once thriving markets became reminders of the past. Archaeologists working on excavations find more and more artifacts that help restore the picture of the life that once thrived in these cities, but has disappeared under the sands of time. In Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, artifacts such as seals with animal and symbol images, which have not yet been deciphered, have been found. These discoveries only emphasize the mystery and complexity of this civilization, which left behind many questions and enigmas. In the tropical forests of Central America, hidden from the sun's rays by dense tree canopies, the Maya civilization once flourished, leaving behind magnificent cities that suddenly emptied between the 8th and 9th centuries AD. Places where human voices once echoed are now filled only with the rustling of leaves enveloping abandoned temples and the sounds of wild animals that have made their homes in ancient palaces. Scholars continue to debate the causes of this mysterious disappearance. One of the most popular theories suggests that the Maya faced a catastrophic drought that could have lasted up to 20 years, leading to a significant decline in agricultural production. A study conducted by a group of researchers led by Dr. Matthew Pollard showed that the analysis of sedimentary deposits from the central lowlands of the Yucatan Peninsula indicated a sharp decrease in rainfall during this period. Other experts, such as Dr. Todd Hodges, propose a resource depletion theory. Intensive farming and deforestation ultimately led to the loss of fertile soil and a decrease in available resources. This resulted in social tensions and conflicts, which are confirmed by archaeological findings, including evidence of destruction in cities like Tikal and Copan. Wars between neighboring states may also have played a role in the civilization's decline. Research by archaeologists shows that the number of weapons found in excavations increased significantly before the disappearance. Epidemics may have also exacerbated the situation, although the direct link between diseases and the fall of society remains controversial. Excavations in places like Palenque reveal a large number of burials that may indicate mass population loss. The sense of mystery and desolation in once thriving centers like Calakmul continues to fill the atmosphere of these places, where nature gradually reclaims what was once fertile land. Only the ruins of magnificent pyramids and temples, where rituals were once performed, testify to the former glory of the Maya, leaving behind many questions about how such a sudden disappearance of one of the most fascinating civilizations in human history could have occurred. Today, archaeologists continue to study these mysterious ruins, hoping to uncover the secrets that have been shrouded in the mists of centuries. In particular, in 2020, a new system of underground water-bearing horizons was discovered in the area of Tikal, which may provide new answers to questions about how the Maya managed their water resources. It is astonishing that ancient structures were often designed with such precision that they could interact with celestial phenomena. For instance, the Temple of Abu Simbel, built in the 13th century BC at the command of Pharaoh Ramses II, is illuminated by sunlight twice a year, on February 22nd and October 22nd. Each time, the sun passes through the narrow doors of the temple, bathing the statues of the pharaoh and the god Amun in light, creating a spectacle that captivates all who witness it. This event draws thousands of tourists who gather to see how light and shadow play on the walls, creating majestic images that reflect the power of ancient Egypt. In Chichen Itza, Mexico, On the pyramids of Kukulkan, during the spring and autumn equinoxes, an incredible sight occurs. At sunrise, the shadows from the pyramid steps create the illusion of a snake slithering down the stairs. Known as the flight of the snake, this phenomenon enchants viewers, making them feel connected to the ancient traditions of the Maya and their deep understanding of astronomy. Stonehenge, built around 3,000 years ago in Britain, also demonstrates its astronomical accuracy. On the day of the summer solstice, the sun rises directly over one of the large stone arches, creating a remarkable illumination that fills the circle of stones with a mysterious light. Observers, standing among these ancient monuments, hold their breath as the interplay of light and shadow creates a magical space filled with historical significance. These phenomena, based on precise calculations and observations by ancient civilizations, highlight their deep knowledge of celestial bodies and their influence on life on Earth. The Temple of Abu Simbel, the Pyramid of Kukulkan and Stonehenge are not just architectural marvels, but also astronomical observatories that have left their mark on human history, emphasizing the importance of the connection between the heavens and the earth. Each of these historical sites continues to amaze and inspire, creating unique moments when people can connect with ancient traditions and feel part of something greater. In Chichen Itza, for example, on the day of the equinox, crowds gather to watch as sunlight creates the snake effect, and the hushed whispers of those passing by become part of this unique event. Stonehenge during the summer solstice transforms into a temple of light, where each stone seems to come alive as it is bathed in sunlight. By combining architecture and astronomy, these ancient structures continue to inspire awe and curiosity, demonstrating that science and art have always been intertwined. It is astonishing that the Aztecs developed a calendar system that not only reflected their deep understanding of time, but was also an integral part of their religious life. The system consisted of two main calendars: the ritual Tonalpohualli, comprising 260 days, and the solar Xiuhpohualli, which had 365 days. These two calendars combined to form a unique 52-year cycle known as the Tonalpohualli, which was crucial for Aztec rituals and agriculture. The Tonalpohualli was made up of 20 periods of 13 days each, with each period having its own name and symbolism, allowing the Aztecs to accurately track time for their rituals. For instance, at the beginning of each new cycle, a vase with fire was brought to the temple where sacrifices were made to invoke the gods. The Xiuhpohualli, on the other hand, was linked to the solar year and marked important agricultural seasons, enabling the prediction of planting and harvesting times. The Aztecs meticulously observed the movements of stars and planets, recording astronomical phenomena such as solar and lunar eclipses with great precision. These observations allowed them to predict significant events and maintain harmony between the heavens and the earth. At the end of each 52-year cycle, the Aztecs conducted ceremonies to renew the fire, during which they feared the end of the world. In these moments, new fires were lit on the tops of pyramids, symbolizing rebirth and a new cycle of time. Complex rituals were accompanied by dances and songs, emphasizing the rhythmic flow of time and its connection to the divine. This calendar system not only ensured accuracy in calculations, but was also woven into the fabric of their daily lives and beliefs, reflecting the depth of their understanding of the universe. The system was composed of a complex structure that allowed the Aztecs to not only organize their lives around cycles, but also to maintain a connection with their gods, making their culture unique and distinctive. In ancient Mesopotamia, ziggurats, magnificent stepped structures, seemed to reach for the heavens, representing unique architectural achievements of their time. These monumental structures could reach heights of up to 90 meters and were built from fired brick, often adorned with glazed tiles, which gave them a special beauty and longevity. Ziggurats served not only as religious temples, but also as astronomical observatories where priests observed celestial bodies. It is believed that they also served as shelters during floods, protecting people from natural disasters that frequently occurred in this region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. These structures could symbolize the world mountain, connecting earth and heaven, emphasizing their spiritual significance to the local inhabitants. Climbing the monumental staircases of a ziggurat, one feels as if approaching the heavens, and from the upper platform, a breathtaking view of the surrounding city unfolds. Long shadows cast by the ziggurat at sunset create a mysterious and majestic atmosphere, where the breath of antiquity is palpable. Notably, the ziggurat in Ur, built around 2,000 years before our era, is a striking example of this architectural style. Its stepped form and well-thought-out construction attracted the attention not only of ordinary residents, but also of rulers, who used ziggurats as symbols of their power and divine patronage. This ziggurat, with a height of more than 21 meters, is adorned with tiles featuring bright patterns that continue to amaze researchers. Scholars suggest that ziggurats could have been places for conducting rituals and sacrifices where people turned to the gods. In this context, ziggurats become not just architectural forms, but true cultural and religious centers, reflecting the complexity and diversity of the Mesopotamian civilization. Climbing the steps of a ziggurat was not just a physical effort, but also a spiritual process, connecting people with their faith and cultural traditions. Researchers still debate the exact functions of ziggurats, but their grandeur and significance for the ancient Mesopotamians remain undeniable. Beneath the waters of the Bahamas Islands lies a mysterious structure known as the Bimini Road, which attracts the attention of researchers and adventurers from around the world. This underwater formation consists of rectangular blocks arranged in a row, creating the impression of an ancient road or wall disappearing into the blue ocean. The sizes of these blocks vary, but some of them can reach more than 2 meters in length and 1 meter in width. Many scientists believe that this structure could be the remnants of an ancient civilization, possibly even Atlantis, as mentioned by Plato in his works. However, there are also conflicting theories that claim the Bimini Road is nothing more than a natural geological formation created by erosion and underwater processes. These theories cast doubt on the historical significance of the discovery, leading to lively debates in scientific circles. The details of Edgar Cayce's prophecy add intrigue, as he predicted in the early 20th century that the remains of Atlantis would be found in this area. His predictions have laid the foundation for numerous studies, attracting the attention of both scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. The underwater exploration of the Bimini Road plunges into an atmosphere of mysterious adventure. Sunlight penetrates the water, creating a play of light and shadow on the stone blocks, while seaweed sways in the rhythm of ocean currents, as if guarding the secrets hidden beneath the water's surface. Local divers exploring this mysterious area report strange sensations, as if they are not just exploring underwater reefs, but delving into forgotten pages of history. These sensations fuel interest in the Bimini Road, making one wonder what exactly lies beneath the ocean's surface. For a long time, the structure remained unsolved, and it was only in 1951 that a group of divers led by John A. Burden discovered it, initiating serious research. Burden and his team documented numerous photographs showing straight lines and angles that seemed too precise for random natural formations. Scientific research conducted in the following decades confirmed the presence of these blocks, but the results did not lead to a consensus. Some researchers insisted on their artificial origin, while others claimed they were natural formations. In 1981, oceanographers from the University of Miami conducted underwater research, collecting rock samples that were later dated. Despite all efforts, the origin of these blocks remains a mystery. The Bimini Road continues to generate lively interest and controversy, leaving neither scientists nor adventure enthusiasts indifferent. In the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, technologies are described that evoke a sense of awe, as if one is reading about something from the future. One of the most striking examples is the shining weapon, which is said to be capable of emitting light brighter than 1,000 suns. The text mentions that after its use, food became poisoned, and those who survived lost their hair and nails. These passages transport us to a world where technology and magic intertwine, creating astonishing images. This is not merely mythology, but perhaps a reflection of technologies that were known in ancient times. Another interesting aspect is the Vimanas, flying machines described in Vedic texts. They are said to be able to fly through the air and even move underwater. For instance, in the Atharva Veda, it is stated that Vimanas could rise into the sky like birds and be controlled by mantras. These descriptions create a remarkable contrast between archaic language and the modern sound of technology. Chinese texts also mention mirrors that could transmit images at a distance, reminiscent of modern video communication. Imagine ancient sages developing mechanisms that could transmit images through space, evoking both wonder and fear. The feeling that we are reading about something created not on this planet makes us ponder how much more there is to discover. In Mahabharata, not only battles and gods are described, but also technologies that could be considered ahead of their time. These texts are filled with details that challenge our understanding of historical progress. 8,500 years ago, when these lines were written, it is possible that technologies existed that could have changed the course of history if they had not been lost. The descriptions of the shining weapon and flying machines cast doubt on our understanding of how civilization developed. Ancient texts filled with incredible images make us return to them again and again to try to understand what really happened. In this context, it is worth remembering other ancient cultures where similar mentions of advanced technologies can be found. For example, in Sumerian tablets, there are references to cosmic ships that could travel between stars. This confirms that the idea of advanced technologies is not an exception, but perhaps a common theme in different civilizations throughout history. Each of these discoveries, whether in Mahabharata, the Vedas, or Sumerian texts, underscores the importance of studying ancient knowledge, which may contain keys to understanding not only our past, but also our future. These ancient works become not just literary monuments, but true treasures containing riddles waiting to be solved. It is difficult to overestimate the value of such texts for modern science. For instance, in Mahabharata, phenomena are described that can be interpreted as radiation effects, resulting from a nuclear explosion. The capabilities of ancient civilizations often seem fantastic, and this makes us wonder how far their knowledge and technologies had advanced. Legends about the lost Atlantis, which have captivated the minds of researchers and adventurers for millennia, continue to stir interest and imagination. Plato, the great Greek philosopher, first mentioned this mythical island in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, written around 380 years before our era. In these texts, he describes Atlantis as a powerful state located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which today is interpreted as the Strait of Gibraltar. According to Plato, Atlantis possessed a highly developed culture, a powerful navy, and was renowned for its magnificent buildings, which were once submerged by the sea in a catastrophic event. Among the most popular theories about the location of Atlantis, several key hypotheses stand out. Some researchers believe it was located in the Mediterranean Sea, while others suggest it was in the Atlantic Ocean, near the Canary Islands. There are also versions linking Atlantis to the North Sea, where some underwater findings have prompted researchers to discuss possible remnants of an ancient civilization. In the Caribbean Sea, there are also hypotheses that this lost island might be located there. Even Antarctica has not escaped attention. Some scientists suggest that beneath the ice of this continent lie traces of Atlantis, buried under layers of snow and ice. In their search for this lost world, researchers delve into the vast expanses of the ocean, where the roar of the waves hides secrets and the salty smell of the sea fills the air. They explore underwater reefs and ancient ocean currents, full of mysteries, leaving behind artifacts and traces that may indicate the existence of this mythical civilization. In 2003, a group of archaeologists led by Dr. David Mather discovered underwater structures in the vicinity of the Bermuda Islands, which sparked heated debates about a possible connection to Atlantis. These coral-covered stone formations, comparable in size to ancient buildings, have an origin that remains a mystery. As scientists continue their research, each new discovery adds fuel to the fire of debates about whether this place was a real, mysterious island or merely a product of Plato's imagination. In 2017, a research group consisting of several historians and geologists conducted underwater investigations in the vicinity of the island of Florida, where they discovered traces of ancient human settlements, reigniting interest in the topic of Atlantis. These findings challenge traditional views on the migrations of ancient people and their ability to create complex societies in such remote and inaccessible places. Scientific debates continue, and each new argument and discovery adds more fuel to the theories about the lost Atlantis, leaving many questions unanswered. In the mountains of China, stone discs of dropper were discovered, which are granite artifacts with a diameter of about 30 centimeters, a central hole, and spiral grooves reminiscent of micro-engraving. These discs were found in isolated mountain caves in the 1930s. In 1938, archaeologist Chi Pu-te, exploring these mysterious corners, stumbled upon these objects, which initially appeared to be artifacts of an ancient civilization, but their origin and purpose remain uncertain. The spiral patterns on the discs have sparked numerous debates among scientists, with some suggesting that these inscriptions could be evidence of a crashed spacecraft, while others consider them to be nothing more than a hoax. The discs have been the subject of numerous studies, but none have led to definitive conclusions. Several researchers have attempted to decipher these enigmatic symbols, but most have concluded that they are nothing more than skillfully crafted patterns with no real meaning. The isolated nature of the mountain caves where the discs were found creates a unique atmosphere. Darkness, humidity, and a slight echo make one ponder the creator's experience. Researchers who have had the opportunity to touch these artifacts describe a feeling of holding something potentially extraterrestrial, as if the discs contain secrets that could change our understanding of the world. These artifacts not only attract the attention of scientists, but also become a subject of interest for UFO enthusiasts who seek evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Despite the lack of substantial evidence, the story of the dropper discs continues to captivate the minds of those who dream of the mysteries hidden on our planet. There are numerous theories about their purpose, but none have sufficient scientific backing to be taken seriously. The discs hold the silence of ancient times, and as scientists continue their debates, they remain a mystery that draws researchers from around the world. 80 years after their discovery, the dropper discs continue to be a topic of discussion, speculation, and research, highlighting their uniqueness as historical artifacts. They are currently housed in museum collections, where they continue to generate interest and debate among visitors. The stereotype that people in ancient times believed in a flat Earth is a myth, just like many other notions about the past. Scientists such as the Pythagoreans in the 6th century BCE already proposed the idea of a spherical Earth based on observations and mathematical calculations. Pythagoras believed that the Earth was spherical not only due to symmetry, but also because the circle is the ideal geometric figure. In the 4th century BCE, Aristotle provided several proofs to support his view. He noted that when observing ships sailing over the horizon, the hull disappears first, followed by the mast, indicating the curvature of the Earth. Furthermore, Aristotle mentioned the shadow cast by the Earth on the Moon during lunar eclipses, which always appeared circular, thus confirming the Earth's sphericity. Eratosthenes in the 2nd century BCE was one of the first to attempt to measure the circumference of the Earth. He used the differences in the angles of sunlight falling on two different cities in Egypt, Siwa and Alexandria, to calculate the distance between them, and consequently, the circumference of the planet with remarkable accuracy, which was approximately 40,000 kilometers. In most ancient civilizations, including the Greeks, Indians, and Arabs, educated individuals were aware of the Earth's sphericity. They relied on observations of the starry sky, noticing how stars revolve around the North Star, and realized that this rotation was only possible with a spherical planet. For example, the Roman philosopher Seneca in the 1st century CE stated that the Earth must be spherical because the circular motion of celestial bodies could not be explained otherwise. Ancient scholars drew their conclusions based on observations and reasoning, not on myths and legends. Therefore, the knowledge of the Earth's sphericity was part of scientific discourse throughout the centuries, challenging the notion that this discovery was a result of the age of great geographical discoveries. In the heart of the dense jungles of Yucatan, hidden beneath a green canopy of leaves, lies Mérida, a city whose architecture is a unique blend of styles reflecting its rich cultural heritage. Here, elements of Mayan, Toltec, and even Spanish colonial influences intertwine, creating a mystery that historians continue to unravel. Founded in the 16th century on the ruins of the ancient city of Tahab, Mérida became a significant trading and cultural hub, connecting various civilizations. Archaeologists believe that it was here that not only goods but also ideas were exchanged, making Merida one of the key nodes in understanding the interaction of ancient cultures. The city's unique architectural features, such as grand temples with high steps and intricate frescoes, bear witness to the influence of various styles. For example, the famous Pyramid of Kukulkan showcases both characteristic Mayan and Toltec architectural elements, creating a striking contrast. Excavations have unearthed unusual artifacts, such as pottery with images that clearly indicate cultural and trade links with other regions of Mesoamerica and even distant places like the Pacific Ocean. Among the finds were unique obsidian and seashell items, suggesting that trade extended far beyond local resources. Surrounded by dense jungles, Merida's ancient walls are draped in vines, with the sounds of the tropical forest providing a backdrop to the city's history. This atmosphere is not just a historical legacy, but a living portrait of the meeting of various cultures that may have once crossed paths here. In the 18th century, the explorer Diego de Landa described Merida as a city of splendor and mysteries, which have only begun to be revealed in recent decades through the work of modern archaeologists. 80 years ago, in the 1930s, serious excavations began here, leading to the discovery of numerous structures that have added new chapters to Merida's history. Each year draws new researchers who strive to unravel the secrets hidden beneath the centuries-old trees and stones. In the desert of Nazca, located in southern Peru, mysterious geoglyphs known as the Lines of Nazca are hidden. These colossal drawings, depicting animals, plants, and abstract geometric shapes, create a striking contrast with the lifeless landscape of the desert. Some of them reach 370 meters in length and have remained well preserved for centuries due to the unique climate of the region. There is almost no rainfall, and strong winds do not affect the surface, keeping the lines clear and visible. The geoglyphs were created by the Nazca people between thousands of years before our era and the 6th century of our era, when they used simple tools to extract red and brown stones and expose the light soil, creating impressive contours that can only be seen from above, highlighting their mysterious nature. There are various theories about the purpose of these lines. Some researchers believe that the geoglyphs could have served as a calendar, indicating important astronomical events such as equinoxes and solstices. Others suggest that they could have indicated the locations of water sources or been ritual paths leading to sacred places. There is even a version that the drawings were messages to gods, created to appease the forces of nature. Looking at these geoglyphs from above, it is difficult not to feel the grandeur and mystery that surrounded the ancient Nazca culture. In the heat of the desert, the air feels heavy, and the rustling of sand underfoot creates a sense of proximity to something eternal, as if these images are telling us stories that have been waiting to be heard. The Lines of Nazca remain one of the most intriguing and studied mysteries of archaeology, attracting the attention of researchers and tourists from around the world, and continue to spark debates about their true nature and significance. According to estimates, only around 30% of the geoglyphs have been fully researched, leaving a vast space for new discoveries and investigations. In the jungles of Costa Rica, there are mysterious stone spheres that captivate the imagination with their perfection and scale. These spheres vary in size from several centimeters to 2.5 meters in diameter and can weigh up to 16 tons. They are primarily made of granodiorite, a strong igneous rock, indicating the high level of technical skill of ancient craftsmen. Most of these objects have nearly perfect spherical shapes, which causes amazement and raises questions about the methods of their creation. Scientific research shows that primitive tools were used for their processing, yet the precision of the spheres is such that they appear to be works of art. There are various theories about their purpose. Some scientists suggest that these stone spheres could have served as astronomical markers, allowing ancient residents to track the movements of celestial bodies. Others believe they could have been symbols of status or served as navigational aids in the dense jungles. It is interesting that the placement of these spheres is not random. They often form specific geometric patterns, indicating the advanced knowledge of mathematics and astronomy among ancient cultures. The humid air of the tropical forest, filled with the aromas of exotic plants, creates a contrast between the man-made perfect spheres and the chaotic vegetation of the jungle, enhancing the feeling of touching an ancient enigma. Local residents and researchers note that these spheres, surrounded by vines and tropical plants, seem to have been left there to remind of their creator. 80 years ago, in the 1930s, archaeologists began systematic research of these stone formations, leading to numerous discoveries, but many questions remain unanswered. For example, the exact dates of their creation are unknown, but it is assumed that they could have been created between the 13th and 16th centuries AD. One of the most famous findings is a group of 26 spheres located in the Sierra de la Muerte area, where they form a clear linear configuration, which may indicate their functional purpose. The spheres not only attract the attention of researchers, but also become the subject of disputes and debates, giving rise to numerous myths and legends about ancient civilizations of Costa Rica. Queen Nefertiti is one of the most mysterious figures of ancient Egypt. Her disappearance from historical records has given rise to numerous questions and theories. Nefertiti was not only the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, but also a key figure in his religious revolution when he introduced the cult of the single god Aton, rejecting traditional Egyptian polytheistic beliefs. The images of Nefertiti that have survived to this day demonstrate her extraordinary beauty and influence. In the famous bust of Nefertiti, discovered in Amarna in 1913 by German archaeologist Ludwig Borchardt, she is depicted with an oval face, clear features, and a graceful neck, which emphasizes her status and role in society. However, starting from the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, mentions of Nefertiti disappear from historical chronicles, which only adds to her mystery. There are several theories about her fate. One suggests that Nefertiti died from an epidemic that swept the country at that time. Another version proposes that she might have been exiled or even changed her name, continuing to rule as a co-regent or even a sole ruler under the name Smenkhkare, which would have been quite a bold move for a woman in those times. This version is supported by the fact that some artifacts and inscriptions from that period mention Smenkhkare, but their connection to Nefertiti remains unclear. The search for her tomb has been a focus of archaeologists for a long time, and in 2005, a mummy known as Younger Lady was discovered, sparking heated debates among researchers. Some scholars believe this could be Nefertiti's mummy, but the lack of clear evidence makes this hypothesis just one of many. In 2017, archaeologists led by Zahi Hawass conducted research in the tomb of Tutankhamun, hoping to find traces of Nefertiti, but no conclusive evidence was found. The mystery of her disappearance remains unsolved and creates an aura of secrecy around this charismatic historical figure, whose influence on Egyptian culture and religion is still felt even after thousands of years. Nefertiti was not just a queen, but a symbol of change that the ancient world could not fully comprehend. For centuries, secret societies served as repositories of esoteric knowledge, transmitted only to the chosen few. The mysteries of Eleusis, dating back to ancient times, were dedicated to the cult of Demeter and Persephone, and their initiation rituals included complex ceremonies designed to grant participants access to the secrets of the afterlife. Those who desired to join this society had to undergo numerous trials, including oaths of silence, to keep the sacred knowledge secret. These rituals took place in sacred places illuminated by torches and were filled with symbolic gestures and passwords passed down through generations. The Pythagorean Union, founded by Pythagoras in the 6th century BCE, also adhered to a strict hierarchy and a multi-level system of initiation. Its members studied mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy, and practiced mystical ceremonies aimed at self-awareness and harmony with the cosmos. Pythagoreans believed that numbers possessed special properties and used them in their teachings, leaving a profound impact on the development of science. The cult of Mithras, which emerged in the Roman Empire, also had its secret rituals, including sacrifices and initiation rites similar to those practiced in Eleusis. Members of the cult gathered in underground temples where mysteries were performed, symbolizing death and rebirth, emphasizing their belief in life after death. These secret societies not only preserved knowledge, but also created an atmosphere of unity and belonging to ancient wisdom, inaccessible to the majority. The symbolism used in rituals and traditions passed down orally created a continuous thread connecting ancient civilizations with the present day. The deep philosophical and mystical ideas of these societies continue to be a subject of interest and research. For instance, Pythagoreans believed in reincarnation and the connection of the soul with the cosmos, leading to the creation of a unique system of ethical and moral norms based on harmony and balance. The mysteries of Eleusis were not only religious ceremonies, but also socio-cultural events, attracting thousands of participants seeking not only spiritual enlightenment, but also communion with like-minded individuals. Despite many of these societies' practices remaining secret, their influence on culture, science, and philosophy is still felt today. Many modern scholars continue to study these ancient teachings, striving to understand how they have shaped human thought and culture. The mysteries of Eleusis, the Pythagorean union, and the cult of Mithras left behind a rich legacy that continues to attract the attention of historians and researchers. Strangely, the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in Nubia gave rise to numerous myths about the curse of the pharaohs, which, according to some, strikes fear into the hearts of all who dare to disturb the peace of ancient Egyptians. The most famous case is associated with Lord Carnarvon, who funded the excavations and was the first to enter the tomb in 1922. Just a few months after the discovery, he died from a mosquito bite infection, which caused a public uproar. Local press eagerly picked up the rumors of a curse, claiming that his death was a result of an ancient curse written on the walls of the tomb. In the dim light of torches illuminating the hieroglyphs, it seemed as if the dead pharaohs were indeed warning of the consequences of invading their world. But Lord Carnarvon was not the only one to fall victim to the curse. Other members of the expedition, such as archaeologist Arthur Mace, also died shortly after the discovery of the tomb. And even if many of these deaths can be explained by natural causes, interest in the curse only grew. Some researchers suggest that the tombs could have contained toxic mold fungi, which when ingested caused serious illnesses. These fungi, such as Aspergillus, could cause nausea, headaches, and even death, which could have been the cause of the mysterious deaths. There are also other scientific explanations related to psychogenic effects. The complex atmosphere of ancient burial chambers, the musty air that fills the space, and the foreboding hieroglyphs create a certain psychological pressure on researchers. Entering the tomb, where no human foot had stepped for centuries, evokes a sense of dread that can lead to panic attacks, fear, and even hallucinations. Studies show that such conditions can significantly reduce a person's stress level, causing physical reactions that can lead to health deterioration. Over the years, cases of the curse have become part of folklore, sometimes even becoming a part of popular culture. Legends of vengeful pharaoh spirits guarding their treasures have been immortalized in films and books. However, despite this, researchers continue to find scientific explanations for these mysterious events. For example, renowned Egyptologist Zahi Hawass, conducting research, asserted that many became victims not of a curse, but of simple carelessness, including disregard for safety rules when working in such dangerous conditions. In the end, each new expedition, setting out in search of the remnants of ancient civilizations, carries not only the desire to uncover the secrets of the past, but also a fear that may never leave humanity. 80 years after the discovery of the tomb, the mysterious rumors of the curse still hold power, and the exciting stories of lost treasures and vengeful spirits continue to captivate the minds of adventure seekers. Ultimately, the curse of the pharaohs has become not only a cultural phenomenon, but also an important element in the study of ancient Egyptian history. Imagine a stone that became the key to unraveling one of the most mysterious scripts in history. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1812 by soldiers of Napoleon's army in Egypt, is a black basalt stele approximately 1 meter in height and 70 centimeters in width. Inscribed on its surface are 3 texts in different languages. The top text is in hieroglyphs, the middle one in Demotic script, and the bottom one in Greek. This unique combination provided the basis for deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs. Jean-François Champollion, a French scholar who dedicated his life to the study of ancient Egyptian writing, made a breakthrough in 1840 by using the Rosetta Stone as a key to understanding hieroglyphs. He noticed that the Greek text, which was well known, contained the names of several pharaohs, such as Ptolemy and Cleopatra. giving him the necessary context to understand the symbols used in the hieroglyphs. The process of decoding was long and complex. Champollion compared hieroglyphs with the demotic text, determining the values of individual signs and their combinations, which ultimately opened up a world of information about ancient Egypt. As a result of this discovery, scholars were able to understand not only literary works, but also religious texts, historical records, and even everyday documents, significantly enriching our understanding of life in ancient Egypt. The contrast between the rough surface of the stone and the clear-cut signs creates an extraordinary sensation of touching history, as if we can see and hear the voices of ancient Egyptians who left us their thoughts and fears, joys and achievements. The Rosetta Stone became a symbol not only of the process of decipherment, but also of a crucial artifact that opened the doors to understanding an entire civilization that has left us its secrets for thousands of years. Since the stone's discovery, numerous studies have confirmed its significance, and it is now housed in the British Museum, where it attracts thousands of visitors daily, eager to touch this historical marvel. In the highlands of Bolivia, you will find the Gateway of the Sun, a monumental structure carved from a single andesite monolith, weighing around 10 tons. This portal, 3 meters high and 4 meters wide, was created during the period between the 2nd and 5th centuries AD, during the Tiwanaku era, one of the most mysterious pre-Columbian American cultures. Its surface features a central bas-relief depicting a sun god, which has given rise to numerous interpretations and theories. Some researchers believe that this image is connected to a solar calendar, as the gates served as markers for the equinoxes and solstices. The gates are precisely oriented towards the east, allowing sunlight to pass through them on the days of the vernal equinox, creating an effect that underscores their sacred significance. The symbols surrounding the central figure remain unexplained, adding to the mystery of this place. Archaeologists and historians such as David Brown and Claudio Vela have proposed various hypotheses about the meaning of these symbols, linking them to astronomical phenomena and religious rituals. In the thin air of the highlands, where temperatures fluctuate and the interplay of light and shadow on the ancient carved surfaces creates a mystical atmosphere, the Gateway of the Sun becomes more than just an architectural object. It served as a link between the earthly and celestial realms, reminding us that ancient cultures lived in harmony with nature and the cosmos. There are theories that the gates were used as an observatory, where local priests tracked the movement of the sun and other celestial bodies, creating accurate astronomical tables. Around the gates, remnants of other structures can be seen, indicating a developed architectural tradition of Tiwanaku. Surrounding the gates are the ruins of temples and plazas, suggesting that this was a center of cultural and religious life. Legends and myths associated with the Gateway of the Sun have been passed down through generations, adding to its significance and importance. It is said that local residents believed the gates were a passage to another world, a place where the living and the dead were united. Archaeological excavations have shown that the structure was meticulously worked with the use of primitive but effective tools, demonstrating the high skill of the ancient stonemasons. The Gateway of the Sun remains one of the most impressive monuments of antiquity, attracting researchers and tourists from all over the world who seek to unravel its mysteries and understand the culture that left this extraordinary mark on history. The Library of Alexandria, once a treasure trove of ancient knowledge, housed within its walls up to 700,000 scrolls, encompassing all fields of science, philosophy, and art. Each scroll was like a single drop in the ocean of human wisdom, and for many it was the sole access to knowledge that might otherwise have been lost. The methods of information gathering were astonishing for their time. Every ship arriving at the port of Alexandria was subjected to strict inspection. Copies of all texts on board were taken to enrich the library. This was not just a library, it was a center of thought and culture, where the rustling of papyrus scrolls mingled with the aroma of fresh parchment, and the soft glow of oil lamps gently illuminated ancient texts, creating an atmosphere where knowledge could live and breathe. The demise of this great library is shrouded in numerous legends and myths. One of the most widespread versions claims that the library suffered during the siege of Alexandria by Julius Caesar in 41 BC, when a fire started by his troops consumed a large part of the collections. Other sources point to an order by Caliph Omar, who, according to legend, said that books contradicting the Quran should be burned, while those that confirmed it were still of no use. Ultimately, many researchers suggest that the library's destruction was not a single event, but the result of a gradual decline, when knowledge was forgotten and scrolls were lost. The sad fate of this library serves as a reminder of how easily we can lose priceless cultural treasures if we do not care for their preservation. Wisdom accumulated over centuries was swallowed by time and the inexorable march of history, leaving behind only faint echoes of its former glory. There are other theories about its destruction as well. Some researchers point to the growth of Christianity, which did not always favor pagan knowledge stored in this library. Regardless, the fact remains. The library, once a symbol of human pursuit of knowledge, disappeared, leaving behind only emptiness where once the ideas and discoveries resounded. Over the centuries, people have reported strange phenomena that can be interpreted as evidence of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. The so-called paleo-contact theory posits that ancient cultures could have interacted with highly advanced beings possessing technologies that were unavailable at the time. One of the most well-known examples is the cave paintings found in various parts of the world, depicting figures resembling modern astronauts. In particular, in the South African cave of Göbekli, images of people in spacesuits standing next to strange objects resembling flying machines were discovered. These artifacts raise numerous questions about whether ancient artists could have truly depicted extraterrestrial technologies. In Indian Vedic texts, vimanas are described, flying machines that could move through the air and even in space. These mentions pique the interest of paleo-contact proponents who argue that such descriptions could be based on real encounters with extraterrestrials. The Maya, for their part, left us images of cosmonauts on their famous stelae and frescoes, further fueling interest in this topic. For instance, in the ancient city of Palenque, a stele was found with an image of a ruler who, according to some researchers, is wearing a cosmic suit. Medieval frescoes, such as those in the Church of St. Peter in Italy, depict flying saucers, which cannot fail to raise questions among viewers. Paleo-contact advocates present the sudden appearance of complex technologies and cultures, such as Egyptian or Sumerian, as evidence of external influence. However, the scientific community remains skeptical. Many researchers point out that such theories are based on an insufficient understanding of history and cultural development. They argue that extraterrestrial technologies are not a necessary explanation for the emergence of complex civilizations that could have developed independently. The question remains open as to how ancient people could have perceived encounters with beings possessing advanced technologies. This could have evoked both awe and fear, as such phenomena could have been genuine miracles for them. For example, ancient Greek myths about gods descending from the heavens, who could have been perceived as extraterrestrials with incredible abilities. Considering these historical facts, it is clear that the idea of paleo-contact resonates in the culture and mythology of many peoples. In the 20th century, interest in this topic grew, especially after the publication of authors like Erich von Däniken, who in his book Chariots of the Gods presented numerous examples that, in his opinion, confirmed the paleo-contact theory. As a result of his work, millions of people began to reassess their views on human history and its place in the universe. Arguments from paleo-contact proponents have become increasingly popular in popular culture, including films, books, and documentary series, indicating how deeply this topic touches human imagination. However, it is important to remember that without clear evidence, these theories remain purely speculative. Unassailable facts that could confirm or refute these ideas have not yet been found. Objects of interest are not only artifacts, but also texts that may contain keys to solving these mysteries. The ancient Egyptians developed a comprehensive collection of spells and instructions known as the Book of the Dead, which served as a guide for the deceased in their journey through the afterlife. This collection, which emerged around the 30th century BCE, contains over 100 spells, each designed to protect the soul from various dangers in the Duat, the realm of the dead. One of the central rituals described in the Book of the Dead is the weighing of the heart, performed by the god Osiris. At this moment, the heart of the deceased was placed on one side of the scales, while on the other side was the feather of the goddess Maat, symbolizing truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul could continue its journey to the fields of Aru, the Egyptian paradise, where eternal life filled with happiness and abundance awaited. However, if the heart was heavier, it became a victim of the monstrous Amit, who devoured the souls of the wicked. The ancient Egyptians believed that mummification was not just a means of preserving the body, but a necessary measure to ensure immortality. The process of mummification took around 70 days and involved the removal of internal organs, which were placed in special containers called canopic jars. The body was then treated with natron and oils and wrapped in linen to protect it from decomposition. Along with the deceased, numerous items were placed in the tomb, including food, drinks, and various objects that might be needed in the afterlife. This was done to ensure the comfort of the deceased in their new existence. Solemn funeral rituals were conducted by priests who recited spells and made offerings, creating an atmosphere of solemnity and sanctity. The flickering of torches illuminated the dark burial chambers, filling them with a mysterious light and emphasizing the significance of the moment. The ancient Egyptians genuinely believed in the continuation of life after death, and every detail of the ritual, from the meticulously prepared body to the wealth placed in the tomb, served as evidence of their deep faith in the afterlife. The walls of the tombs were adorned with scenes from life, intended to accompany the soul on its next journey, while spells written on papyrus served as a reliable guide to the unknown world. As a result, ancient Egyptian culture left us not only awe-inspiring monuments such as pyramids and temples, but also a profound understanding of how they perceived life and death. The Book of the Dead became a symbol of their hopes and fears, reflecting their complex beliefs about the afterlife and eternity. In ancient times, long before the advent of modern astronomical instruments, people already possessed an extraordinary understanding of celestial cycles. One of the most striking examples is the Göbekli Circle in Germany, built around 4,900 years before our era. This Neolithic structure is a system of concentric earthen banks with internal wooden posts and palisades. The uniqueness of the Göbekli Circle lies in its precise orientation. The passages between the banks were aligned to accurately track the rising and setting of the sun on key days of the year, such as the summer and winter solstices. Similar observatories, like Stonehenge in England, also demonstrate the deep connection that ancient people had with the cosmos. Stonehenge, constructed around the 3rd millennium before our era, consists of massive stones arranged in a circle, serving as an astronomical observation point. On the days of the solstices, the sun's disk appears precisely in the opening between the granite blocks, creating an atmosphere of sacred ritual. Newgrange in Ireland is another remarkable observatory, built around 3,500 years before our era. This tomb chamber, surrounded by a mound, was designed so that a beam of light entering on the day of the winter solstice would illuminate the central part, creating an effect of a grand welcome for the dying and reborn sun. In Mesoamerica, the Maya created their own astronomical structures, such as the observatory in Uxmal, where the height of the buildings and their orientation allowed for the observation of planetary and stellar movements. These ancient observers would gather in the pre-dawn silence, awaiting the sun's appearance over the horizon. In those moments, when the first rays of light touched the earth and the sun's disk slowly rose between the stones, they felt a deep connection with the cosmic cycles that governed their lives and agricultural rhythms. Solstices and equinoxes were not just astronomical events, but sacred moments when ancient people understood their connection to the universe, making their rituals incredibly significant. The Göbekli Circle, like other similar structures, served not only as an astronomical observatory, but also as a place where people gathered for communication, celebration, and the transmission of knowledge about time and nature. The enigmatic Sphinx on the Giza Plateau raises numerous questions, and some researchers suggest that its age may be significantly older than commonly believed. The official version dates its construction to around the 25th century BCE, but geologists like Robert Schoch from Boston University point to signs of erosion on the Sphinx's surface that could have been caused by prolonged rain. These deposits are characteristic of the climatic conditions that existed in this region over 10,000 years ago. Schoch argues that the type of weathering visible on the Sphinx's body indicates that it was carved during a period when the climate was wetter and more humid, which, according to geological data, corresponds to the time around the 9th millennium BCE. Some researchers also note the astronomical orientation of the Sphinx. It faces the constellation Leo, which, according to certain theories, could have been particularly significant in the epoch of the 10,000-year-old era when the summer solstice coincided with this constellation. This creates an atmosphere of profound antiquity, where the Sphinx, with its majestic yet weathered face, witnessed the transition of epochs and cultures. The interplay of light and shadow on its stone face only underscores its silent grandeur, impervious to time, and invites contemplation of the mysteries and knowledge it holds. The form and dimensions of the Sphinx also pose questions. Its length is approximately 42 meters, and its height reaches 6 meters, making it the largest such monument in the world. These majestic proportions and the Sphinx's enigmatic aura attract the attention not only of tourists, but also of scholars seeking to unravel its secrets, while its aura of ancientness penetrates the hearts and minds of all who encounter this masterpiece of art and engineering. There are various hypotheses about the purpose of the Sphinx. Some believe it was a guardian of pharaohs' tombs, while others suggest it served as an astronomical observatory. However, the question remains open. Who truly created this titanic guardian, and what role did it play in ancient Egyptian culture? The difficulties in determining its true age only add to the intrigue, prompting us to question our understanding of human history and civilization. It's hard to imagine, but the construction of the Egyptian pyramids is a genuine enigma that continues to puzzle scientists and engineers. For instance, the blocks that make up these monumental structures weighed up to 80 tons and were fitted with extraordinary precision. The gaps between them were less than 1 millimeter. This is indeed an impressive achievement for an ancient civilization without modern tools. The Pyramid of Giza, the largest of them all, was built around 2,500 years before our era and originally reached a height of 146 meters, making it the tallest structure in the world for more than 3,000 years. The alignment of the pyramids with the cardinal directions is also remarkable. The angles of their orientation deviate by only a few minutes from the ideal directions. There are numerous theories about how the ancient Egyptians moved these colossal stone blocks. One of the most popular is the theory of inclined planes. Researchers suggest that workers built long inclined ramps up, which they rolled the blocks to the top of the pyramid. However, this theory does not explain how the blocks could be raised to a height of over 100 meters. Other scientists propose the use of a system of levers to help lift the heavy stones, but there is no clear evidence to support this. There are also hypotheses that the blocks could have been transported via waterways, using special dams to create artificial canals. Imagine the thousands of workers laboring under the scorching sun of the desert, their sweat flowing in streams, mingling with the scent of freshly quarried limestone. The sounds of stones rubbing against stones merge with the shouts of overseers giving orders, while the shadows cast by the pyramids at sunset create a mesmerizing contrast with the golden sands. Using primitive tools, these workers created wonders of engineering that can be compared only to modern construction projects. The entire process was not just physical labor, but also an art, requiring precision and dedication, which allows us to appreciate how significant this work was for ancient Egyptian society. The pyramids were not just tombs for pharaohs, but also symbols of their divine power and authority. It is believed that local quarries, such as the one in Tura, just 30 kilometers from Cairo, were used for the construction. Thus, the blocks were transported by the Nile, leaving an unforgettable mark on human history. Golden figurines from Colombia, known as golden airplanes, are mysterious artifacts of the Quimbaya culture, dating back approximately 1,000 years before our era. These small objects, made of gold, feature characteristic triangular wings, a vertical stabilizer, and a shape reminiscent of the fuselage of a modern airplane. The sizes of these figurines range from 5 to 15 centimeters in length. Researchers, such as Dr. Jose Arturo Cardoso, have created scale models based on these artifacts and conducted experiments that show they can achieve aerodynamic flight, raising the question of their possible use in ancient times. Some researchers interpret them as evidence of ancient flying machines, while others believe they may represent stylized images of birds or insects, a common motif in Kimbaya culture. In museums, these golden figurines sparkle under the light of lamps, creating a magical effect that highlights the elegance of ancient jewelry craftsmanship. The contrast between the primitive techniques used in their creation and their futuristic appearance is striking and prompts reflection on how these people might have envisioned flight and nature. Discoveries from Colombia underscore the high level of skill achieved by the jewelers of that time, who used simple tools to create such complex forms. According to modern scholars, artifacts like the golden airplanes offer a window into ancient beliefs about celestial beings and inspire new research that could alter our understanding of ancient civilizations. The archaeological heritage of Kimbaya continues to attract researchers due to its complexity and mystery, and its study may lead to significant discoveries. More than 30 such figurines can be found in museum collections, indicating the widespread prevalence of this type of art among the Kimbaya people. On the remote island of Easter, amidst the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean, stand the Moai, monumental stone statues majestically gazing into the distance. These giants, reaching up to 10 meters in height and weighing up to 80 tons, were created by the island's inhabitants, the Rapa Nui, during the 9th and 10th centuries of our era. Each Moai is unique, yet all share characteristic features: elongated heads, distinct facial features, and enormous ears. The statues are situated along the coastline, facing the sea, creating an eerie impression as if they are guarding the island and its inhabitants. However, the mystery surrounding the transportation of these heavy statues from the quarries on the eastern slope of the volcano Rano Raraku to their final destinations remains unsolved. Various theories exist. Some suggest that the Rapa Nui used logs as rollers, while others claim that the statues walked. They rocked back and forth, allowing them to move across the ground. Scientific research indicates that creating one Moai could have taken years, and moving them required immense effort and teamwork. The loud roar of the ocean waves crashing against the shore creates an atmosphere of solitude, while the wind etches the stern faces of the statues, lending them an even more enigmatic appearance. The island, surrounded by the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, feels like a lost world filled with secrets and stories that may never be fully revealed. Scientists continue to study the local resources and technologies used by the Rapa Nui, and in the 21st century, archaeologists discovered more than 90 statues that have not yet been installed in their final positions. A significant discovery was that the Moai were not just statues, but symbols of power and status, reflecting the culture and social structures of the ancient island inhabitants. Once, in the harbor of Rhodes, there stood the Colossus, a colossal statue that reached approximately 33 meters in height. This bronze figure, erected on a stone base, was built in honor of the sun god Helios in 280 BC. The Colossus was not just a work of art, it was a symbolic expression of the power and pride of the Rhodians, who wanted to demonstrate their independence and strength after their victory over the Macedonian general Demetrius Poliorcetes. According to the architect's design, led by Chares, the statue was to gleam under the sun's rays, reflecting bright light and creating the impression that it itself radiated light. Its bronze details shimmered, giving the Colossus the appearance of guarding the harbor entrance, welcoming sailors returning from distant lands. Approaching ships could see this statue from many miles away, and depending on the direction of the wind, they could hear the sound of waves crashing against the giant's base, adding drama and grandeur to the spectacle. Some historians suggest that the Colossus may also have served as a kind of lighthouse, guiding ships into safe waters. Nevertheless, despite its size and scale, the statue did not last long. In 226 BC, a powerful earthquake destroyed it, and according to the records of ancient historians, the remains of the Colossus lay on the ground for many centuries before being melted down for other uses. The statue became a symbol of lost grandeur and inspiration for future generations, remaining in the memory of humanity as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Beneath the earth of Cappadocia lie complex and extensive underground cities, capable of housing thousands of people. These unique structures, such as Derinkuyu and Kaimakli, reach depths of up to 20 levels, each connected by a network of narrow tunnels and passageways. Inside these subterranean spaces, cool air creates a sense of security, while muffled footsteps add an air of mystery. Walls carved from volcanic tuff reflect the flickering light of torches, highlighting the architectural complexity and ingenuity of these places. The underground cities featured sophisticated infrastructure, including ventilation shafts, wells, and security systems. For instance, stone doors that could be closed from the inside served as protection against enemy raids. There are several theories about the purpose of these underground shelters. One of the most widespread versions suggests that they were used as hiding places during wars and persecutions, allowing local residents to escape from enemies. Other researchers propose that these cities also served as wine storage and production facilities, as the subterranean environment maintains a stable temperature and humidity, ideal for winemaking. In some cases, the underground cities could have been religious centers where residents conducted rituals, hiding from the outside world. These subterranean structures, dating back to the Hittite Empire, continue to be the subject of research and mysteries. In the 20th century, archaeologists like Dr. Ibrahim Kaplan discovered numerous artifacts confirming the use of underground cities over centuries. For example, in the 12th century, our ancestors used them as shelters from the Crusaders, underscoring the strategic importance of these places. Researchers have identified more than 100 underground cities in Cappadocia, making this region unique from an architectural and historical perspective. Each of these cities has its own characteristics, but they all share one crucial detail. They were designed for survival in conditions where safety and protection were paramount. The internal spaces of the subterranean cities are often adorned with rock paintings and inscriptions, offering a glimpse into the spiritual world of their inhabitants. However, the exact purpose of many of these spaces remains unknown, adding an extra layer of charm and intrigue to these enigmatic places. Imagine the majestic Stonehenge standing on Salisbury Plain in England, where massive stone blocks weighing up to 50 tons seem frozen in time, enveloped in a mystical atmosphere. These monoliths were likely transported from quarries in Wales, located up to 240 kilometers away. Scholars believe that the construction of this megalithic complex began around 13,000 years ago, and its purpose remains a subject of numerous debates. Some researchers view Stonehenge as an ancient observatory used for tracking solar and lunar cycles. For instance, on the summer solstice, sunlight passes between the stones, creating a breathtaking spectacle when it falls precisely on the central altar. This could suggest that the builders sought to record astronomical events, which were crucial for their agricultural practices. Other theories propose that Stonehenge served as a ritual center for ceremonies related to life and death. Some even suggest that it was used for healing, thanks to its unique acoustic properties that create sounds believed to have a soothing effect on people. As you approach Stonehenge, you hear the wind whistling between the stones, creating a melody that echoes through the centuries. The coolness from the ancient blocks standing under the open sky is especially pronounced when sunlight pierces through the clouds, casting shadows that captivate. Over the centuries, researchers have tried to understand how ancient people could move such heavy stones and place them with such precision. Using simple tools and methods, such as wooden logs for rolling stones and systems of channels for their transportation, they managed to create this magnificent structure which continues to inspire awe. Even today, despite technological advancements, Stonehenge remains a symbol of ancient culture and engineering prowess, raising questions about how and why it was built. Complex structures like trilithons, composed of 2 vertical stones and 1 horizontal, demonstrate the level of knowledge possessed by the builders. Parallels with other megalithic sites, such as Carnac in France or Newgrange in Ireland, highlight common architectural and ritualistic features, indicating that such places held significant importance for ancient societies. Stonehenge, with its mystery and historical significance, continues to attract the attention of scholars and tourists, remaining one of the most studied and discussed archaeological finds. Even thousands of years after its construction, it remains a key object for studying ancient civilizations, their beliefs and technologies. Each stone, each crack, and each shadow cast by the setting sun hold stories and secrets that researchers strive to decipher. Notably, Stonehenge was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1986, underscoring its importance for world history and culture. The Knossos Palace on Crete is not just an architectural ensemble, it is a true monument to ancient technologies and cultural traditions, concealing numerous mysteries. Built around 1,900 years before our era, it is a multi-level structure with over 1,200 rooms, connected by intricate corridors that often bewilder even modern researchers. The palace served not only as a residence for the Minoan aristocracy, but also as the center of administrative, economic, and religious life. Its interior rooms are adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting scenes from life, flora and fauna, and rituals related to the cult of the bull, which is directly linked to the myth of the Minotaur. The tale of how Theseus killed the Minotaur in the labyrinth may have originated from the real architectural features of the palace, where the complex system of corridors could confuse anyone who entered. One of the outstanding features of the Knossos Palace is the throne room with a massive stone throne, which, according to scholars, could have belonged to the high priest or ruler. This hall was likely used for important ceremonies and rituals. The palace also housed storage rooms where grain, oil, and other goods were stored, indicating the highly developed economy of the Minoan civilization. For inventory purposes, a linear A script, one of the earliest forms of writing in Europe, was used, underscoring the level of organization and management. The palace's engineering systems included advanced water supply and drainage systems that provided water and waste disposal, a rarity for the time. Light shafts penetrating the deepest corners of the palace created a play of light, filling the rooms with warmth and life. The scent of the sea wafted through open courtyards, mingling with the fresh fragrances of the frescoes and natural materials used in construction. The sounds of life within the palace, whether the laughter of children or the footsteps of courtiers, echoed through the long corridors, creating an atmosphere of dynamism and activity. The Knossos Palace is not just a place, it is a whole world that, despite its antiquity, continues to influence modern perceptions of myths and history. Excavations conducted in the 20th century under the leadership of British archaeologist Arthur Evans made a significant contribution to the study of Minoan culture and architecture, revealing many new facts and details about the lives of ancient Cretans. As a result of his efforts, remarkable artifacts emerged that continue to inspire awe and wonder among researchers and history enthusiasts. The palace covers an area of around 20,000 square meters, making it one of the largest palace complexes of its time. In the caves of Liguria, in northern Italy, mysterious cave paintings dating back approximately 10,000 years before our era were discovered. These images depict strange figures that can be interpreted as underwater objects, resembling modern-day submarines. On the walls of the caves, stylized outlines can be seen that evoke associations with the shape of submarines, sparking heated debates among researchers. In particular, in the grotto of Ponte Cierco, archaeologists found a series of drawings featuring long, streamlined bodies with portholes, emphasizing their parallels with contemporary submarines. Professor Lorenzo Bonetto from Genoa proposes a theory that these images could have been created to mark a ritual related to water or the sea, while other researchers suggest they are stylized depictions of boats or even animals, such as dolphins. The atmosphere in the caves is permeated with coolness, creating a unique mood while studying these artifacts. Immersed in the dim light, researchers feel the mystery surrounding the ancient images. It is astonishing that these figures raise questions about the level of technological development of people at that time and whether they could indeed create complex devices. Some researchers even hypothesize that these drawings could be evidence of ancient technologies used for underwater navigation. Although this may not be true, it underscores the richness of human imagination. In this context, it is worth mentioning that in Liguria, tools such as hunting implements have also been found, indicating a developed culture of hunting and gathering. For example, stone tools found near the cave paintings demonstrate that people of that time used sophisticated stoneworking techniques, indicating a high level of skill. Nevertheless, the mysterious paintings remain an unsolved puzzle, sparking controversy among scientists and history enthusiasts. Each new discovery in these caves brings new questions and theories, making Liguria a center of archaeological research. Unique finds attract attention, and every year researchers from around the world come here to unravel the mysteries of the past. The caves of Liguria continue to be a repository of ancient knowledge and evidence of our human heritage. For instance, in one of the caves, traces of people who lived there were found, confirming human activity over thousands of years. Findings in Liguria show that people not only hunted and gathered food, but also left traces of their existence in the form of art that today evokes wonder and admiration. It is astonishing that ancient physicians demonstrated significant skills in the field of surgery, performing operations that today evoke both respect and amazement. One of the most notable procedures was trepanation, practiced as early as the Neolithic period, around 7,000 years ago. This procedure involved drilling holes in the skull using primitive tools such as obsidian or flint knives. Archaeological finds indicate that many patients survived these operations, as evidenced by signs of healing found on skulls. For example, in Peru, skulls with trepanation were found, showing that the bones had healed, indicating successful recovery. Surgical instruments also played a crucial role in ancient medicine, many of which have been preserved in Pompeii. Among them were scalpels, clamps, and needles made of bronze and iron, used for various procedures, including amputations and wound treatment. Egyptian medical papyri, such as the Ebers papyrus, dating back to around 1500 BC, contain extensive knowledge of medical practices, including surgical methods, disease treatment, and the use of herbs. This document describes the use of various plants, such as lotus and myrrh, to create decoctions and ointments used as anesthetics. The scent of these herbs filled the air during operations, creating an atmosphere of hope and fear at the same time. Ayurvedic practices in India add another layer to our understanding of ancient medicine. In Ayurveda, surgery was an integral part of treatment, and physicians used complex methods to remove tumors and treat injuries. They applied special plant mixtures to alleviate pain and used the sounds of primitive instruments, feeling their sharp contact with bones, which created an atmosphere of tension and expectation. Operations were performed in conditions far from modern standards, but many ancient patients, filled with hope, took the risk, trusting their physicians. Comparison with modern methods shows that many of these ancient practices were not only intuitive, but also based on deep knowledge of the human body. Despite the lack of modern technologies, ancient physicians possessed a wide range of methods that ensured their success in treating serious diseases and injuries. For example, in India, according to texts, surgery is mentioned as one of the 6 main branches of Ayurveda, and physicians had access to a variety of tools and techniques that were used to achieve good results. 800 years ago in China, surgery made significant progress, including the use of acupuncture as a complement to surgical interventions. These practices demonstrate that ancient physicians not only treated patients, but also actively developed their knowledge of the human body and methods of its treatment, which laid the foundation for future medical achievements.